Hello friends, and welcome to another episode of the Urban Homesteading Channel. If this is your first time visiting with us, we want to extend to you a very warm welcome and invite you to watch any of our over 560 videos that we've arranged for your convenience in playlists, as we are confident you're going to find something both useful and entertaining to watch. If you have been here before, welcome back. If today is your birthday, yeehaw! We want to wish you a very happy birthday. So today we're going to do another organization project. When you have a small house, and as you recall, we purchased intentionally a small house, sometimes space for storing an organization can be challenging, right?
Definitely.
And today we're going to try to achieve that for our bathroom and create what we're calling a movable storage space. Or
Yeah, it's going to be like a shelf on wheels.
And because of the wood prices being out of this world these days, we think we can do it all using scraps. And the operant word here is thin, right?
Right.
So with these kinds of scrap, we know that the width of what we want to make will be 6 inches, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it will be 20 inches long.
Yep.
And 2 feet tall.
Yep.
So hopefully with what we have here, we can transform this wood into a very nice and useful storage organization.
Yeah. And definitely take advantage of those things that we already have on hand.
Right. Now we're going to have to do a couple of things because the wood is not the correct dimension, so we're going to have to combine some boards to make wider boards, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, actually no, because we thought this is enough.
Yeah, well,
So we
yeah.
have to combine the front and the back. We're still going to combine, but not as many as we thought.
Right.
Alright, so stick around and we're going to show you how to turn these into this. So stick around and we're going to show you every step on how to build a portable shelf similar to this one to perfectly fit your space. Now this is going to be next to a toilet, so we want it to be about 2 feet tall. We don't want it to be very tall and interfere with the person using the facilities, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we've made a mark here, which is 2 feet, and we're going to cut it in our radial saw, and then we're going to use that as the template to cut the other 3.
Yep.
Now you might see that we have a lot of waste, but in reality we don't, because these are actually waste pieces, right? These are scraps.
Right.
And when you use scraps, you cannot really be too much of a chooser, right? That's
Right.
what we have, that's what we're going to use. So we're going to start by cutting pieces. Now we're going to use this as what do I want to say?
As our template?
As a template to cut the rest of them.
Yep.
So we've set our jig, and we're going to make our pocket screws. It never wants to make pocket screws when it is reversed, does it?
No, it's finicky that way.
I know, I just don't know why. I should have been a little closer there so I don't have an open, but I didn't. So.
Do 3 each.
And we only need it on one board of the dual, right?
Right.
So we're going to repeat that on the other board, and we are going to start assembling. So set your boards together. Make sure that they are flush in one dimension, because most of the time there will be uneven in the other. Even by 1/8 it will be visible, right? So you can actually trim one side rather than having to trim two. That's the whole idea of making sure you're very flush here, right?
Right.
Now I found this little clamp invaluable because it likes to keep the connecting surface where it needs to be, right?
Yep.
Definitely not necessary, but a nice to have. And a little bit of tip, if you notice I have a clamp here and you might be thinking what the heck I'm doing. I'm showing you if you're by yourself, this is the way you can do it, right? You put a clamp to hold it.
And you can put pressure against it and it doesn't roll away from you.
Because Miss Wizard today is the cinematographer.
And the production assistant.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now we're going to do the same thing.
Yep.
Again, I'm going to put my clamp here, and I'm clamping it up to my table, right? I mean, I'm not holding the piece to the table. I'm just
Right.
creating what you would call it, a resistance, right? All right, and now we're going to do the middle one.
One more.
And as you can see, we see the nice bit of glue, which is what we want to see, right? A little bit of squeeze out. We don't want huge amounts of squeeze out, but a little bit of squeeze out tells we did the gluing correctly. All right?
Yep. And when that ratchet sound happens, you know that you've really bitten into what you need to, right?
Yeah, depends on the drill.
And it gets tight.
Not all drills have a ratchet mechanism, but on drivers you are going to hear it, right? Mm-hmm. And you might notice that we're using our heart, which has quickly become one of my favorite. So we have assembled our two sides.
Yep.
Now here, if you want it, you could fill this, if this is more visible, you could fill the pocket holes with a dowel, or they actually you can buy some fillers. In our case, we don't care, it will be interior, it doesn't
Right,
make
it's
any
not going to
difference.
show.
We're not going to worry about this. And this, so you get a little bit of an idea of what we're doing, this will be our vertical pieces, right?
Yep. And we didn't have boards wide enough to be the
Right.
verticals as a single piece, so we're joining some together.
And now we're going to take out our table saw, which we haven't done for some time, because we need to rip some things, right?
Yep.
And we cannot rip them using our circular saw.
Or the miter saw, or, lots of other
That one.
things. Yep.
Well, calling the saw by the correct name is useful. So we're going to use this board here as our little stop. This board is the correct width for what we want to build. So we're going to use it, so we're not going to have to measure, right? We
Yep.
put it here and we set our fence using that width. So we don't care to be exact, because again, dimensional lumber is never exact, right?
Right.
And what I'm doing here, as you see, is I'm making sure that it very effortlessly goes through, that we're not going to have any binding in the saw.
Right.
And then we're going to bring the pieces we just put together, and we're going to. So with our distance set, we are ready to start working on the width. And because we use pocket screws here, so there are screws here, and in our case, it wouldn't make a difference. In other words, our screws are not long enough, but just for safety purposes, we're going to do it anyway. We're going to go on this side of the screw, not where the screw entered, because we like our blades.
Right.
We don't want
And
our
our
blades
safety.
Well, it wouldn't harm us, it will destroy the blade. So as you can see, I put it so it is above the blade. We're not going. There is no chance of us cutting into the blade, right? Probably this is not secure. And you notice I like the blade to be very little above. It's just a little extra safety. So if you were to trip or your hand go here, he will cut you, but he will not cut you so deep that he will take a finger out. Does that make sense?
Or hand off.
Right. So it is, as you can see, it's very little of the blade.
Yep.
I'm not saying it will not hurt. It will be quite painful if you make the mistake, but it will not cost you an arm or a hand or a finger, right? So I think now we have everything cut the correct width, and we need to work on lengths, right?
Yep.
And now we're committed. This is our length, right?
Yep.
We're going to use, like we always do, we're going to use this piece as our measuring stick. That's the word I was looking for. For the other two pieces, right? We need to
Yep.
cut two more surfaces. So
Yep.
this is going to be a middle shelf, and then we need the top, and we need the bottom. So
Yep.
we're going to cut those exactly the same dimension, and you can use a stop, but because we only have two more pieces, I think this is as fast. Right?
Sure.
We don't need the stop. All right.
Okay.
So we need to cut this. Another thing, especially when you have boards that are scraps, we chose to cut whichever side looked the worst to us, right?
Yep.
In this case, it was this side. I don't know if you can see. There. You can see it look kind of rough.
Pretty rough. Yep.
And it doesn't make a difference as long as your dimension is what you need.
Right.
Which size you cut is irrelevant. So we're going to use this now to cut this board. And we'll be right back with you. We just finished our dry fitting and we need to now drill pocket holes to attach what will be the sides, right? These are the sides, to what will be the bottom. So we're going to do pocket holes on both sides here, right? Because we're going to have to attach two pieces.
Right.
All right, we're going to do that and we'll be right back with you. So if you do pocket screws, it's important that all your pocket screws are on the same side. Right, you see our pocket screws here, the other pocket screws will be here. And that is important so everything will be concealed, right? You don't want anything visible.
Right.
And that is the only thing you need to keep in mind. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. And 3/4 is probably the most common dimension on lumber, right?
Yeah.
So that is a pretty standard setting. Before you start making holes, double check that you simply rotate that. Don't turn it like this and make holes, right?
Right.
It will be in your good side. So you need to be able to see pocket screw holes in the area that you are going to actually attach. If you don't see them, you're doing something wrong. And don't do things wrong, right? Once again, we're using our trusty corner screws that in this case we'll do two things. I'm going to keep the corner square as we want it and also will allow us to insert the pocket screw without any issues. We'll be right back. It's very hot here in North Carolina and I don't have air conditioning in the shop, but a couple of days like this might incite me, or not incite me, convince me to put air conditioning, right?
We'll see.
We are here and we are in the final stages of assembly, and as you can see, it is a box. We've talked before how everything in woodworking is a box, right?
Yep.
You put the bottom on this, it's a drawer. You put shelves on it, it is a bookcase, right? I mean,
Yep.
you start with a box. Once you learn how to do box and how to make corners, either 45s or 90s, you have a lot of the skills to move on the next level, right? I wanted to point a couple of things. Because we're using scrap wood, which means that this is wood that has stayed in our shop for a little bit, right? It has warped a little bit. We had a hard time here, we had a warpage. Do you like that word, warpage?
Warpage.
And we use a big clamp to tighten it together. We're going to leave the clamp for a little bit, and hopefully it will stay. If it doesn't stay, there are other remedies we can use, like a long screw or something like that, right?
Yep.
And also, we do not have an assembly table. For those of you that you know what an assembly table is where you're supposed to do what we're doing on top of the table saw. Right? Now,
Well, we're sort of flat surfaces here.
you cut something, you go do all the cuts and then you move to the assembly table that's supposed to be a perfectly flat surface, right?
Yep.
And we don't have that.
Nope. We
And
make
everything-
do with what we have.
And every time we don't have that, we couldn't make those corners go really flat because we didn't have a way to make these flush. So we use some wood seams, what you use when you want to fix doors or windows, right? And now this is nice and flat. It allows us to do what we need to do.
Yep. There was just a slight dip when going from the surface of the table saw down to this brace. So.
Enough, however, to make a difference when you finish the piece.
Oh
right?
yeah.
So you need to pay attention to that. So here is our shelf. We decided to put it a little taller than middle, right?
Yep.
And the only important thing, here we have a shelf. We decided not to have it in the middle, right?
Right.
We are going to actually put it a little towards the top, so we have a higher shelf in the bottom
Right.
and a shorter on the top.
Yep.
Totally up to you. Another thing we did, and we changed a little bit the design, if you notice, we decided to have we're going to have the top and the bottom defined the exact width of our piece, so we need to make the shelf a little smaller, right? Now, so here we are out in our paint booth. The piece is finished other than the wheels that will go on the bottom, right?
Yep.
And we decided to go with a classic white that will match the core and complement the core that we have in the bathroom, right?
Right.
So we're going to paint it. And of course, when we're done, we're going to show you the final outcome. Miss Wizard really enjoyed the paint process, but we also have a paint gun for bigger projects, right?
Yep.
But for something that small, a can of paint should be sufficient. So when we're done, we're going to show you what it looks and we'll continue from there. So here it is, it moves rather smoothly. The wheels doesn't make a lot of noise, and keep in mind it only needs to move about a foot or two, right?
Right.
It's not going to be walking long distances here. And it's not going to have a great amount of weight. If we see that we need more of bumpers on the side, we can add them at a later time, right?
Yep.
So this is our finished product. You could have left it unfinished. For our purposes, a white finish fits our decor best. Or we could have painted the blue that we used for our last project. This was a fun little project that didn't cost us anything. Everything we used for this project we had. The wheels we have bought and they were just sitting around. The wood was all scrap.
Right.
So the idea today was to build something from stuff we had. So our effective cost was zero.
Yep, and it fits the space, it's custom made, and it's going to be very useful.
And that's the advantage of DIY, right? You can go and buy something similar to this, but you will not buy this, the dimensions you
Right.
want it to fit your space, right?
Right.
We hope you did enjoy this build. We did have fun building it. If you did, we would appreciate a thumbs up. If you didn't, the other button works as well. Share, like, subscribe. Let us know what else you would like to see in future episodes of the Urban Homesteading Channel. From Dr. Wizard, Mrs. Wizard, and the Urban Homesteading Channel, stay safe, put your masks on, wash your hands, and we're going to see you soon. Farewell, friends.